Hey. Oh my gosh. Okay. So we are live. Sam, WIKE. Hola, baby. Hola.
Glad to be back. Very glad to be
I'm
back.
glad you're here. And Tess Falk from San Diego. We've been waiting for Sam to reappear, haven't we?
Yes, we have.
Yes.
Every time you ask.
Well, we also have to give a shout out to Tess because now that she has her mobile grooming van, for those dogs who have a hard time going to the groomer where all these other dogs, cats, whatever are present, Tess, you're able to give individualized care. And for so many dogs, that is when they can at least become more comfortable, especially since you find it in your practice to actually get to know the dog before you do anything.
Yep. I'm super excited. I can actually go to those dogs that are already having difficulty getting out, and I'm just going directly to them. And I have to say, even I was thinking, what about dogs that are having trouble getting in a car? Is that a part of this? No. Once they're in the van and we're in this closed environment and it's just us, they love it. It's been a dream come true. It's a small space that really lets us just work and bond together. Thank you for mentioning that, Sam.
Make sure to play, either Icon Pet music or spa music or whatever while they're in there. There you go.
Oh, Sam, I just love it. So
make sure you got scent.
Video that said that. The spa technique or something. Music, you said music, scent, and there was another one like sound. No, music, sense, and something else. But we do that with our flower essences. We do that with like our soft reggae music. And then we're sitting down and giving the dogs a chance to learn who I am and what I'm asking of them.
Here, let me give another shout out to Tess because this just arrived in the mail today. And this is an advertisement that Tess created along with Becky Starr in Animal Wellness Magazine, helping humans one animal at a time, one flower at a time. Nice. Isn't that great? So yay. Tess,
all right.
My little genius. And so Tess in San Diego, and here we have Sam on the East Coast. Yahoo. And Sam, just really quick before we pick up, for anybody who doesn't know, tell us about the inner dog and tell us who you love to work with, because you've got your specialty.
I am a certified professional dog trainer. I specialize in dogs who have moderate to severe behavior challenges. That can be anything from deep-rooted fears, OCD complexes. It can be reactivity. It can be aggression. So it's not just about dogs who have bite histories. It's not just about dogs who are shy or timid, because shy or timid is actually fear, right? So we delve into that and we look to help the dog feel safe, trust the home and the people they're with. Once they have that trust, then we can begin to change by teaching skills that are different than what they're used to, changing how their perception of what they see, the truth as they see it. And then with that change in those skills comes change in behavior. And after the change in behavior, you have a dog and its people who just have a much more enjoyable partnership.
The truth as they see it. Wow. Okay. There's a whole other hour that we could spend. The truth as they see it. So, Tess, you were looking at the last one or two videos that we've had interviews with Sam, and you were talking about, picking up where we left off.
Oh, yes. I want to put in there, I went back and you know how people can watch that video anytime. There was a question that came up, which I feel like I kind of already got the answer, but they did not get an answer to. And the question on the very last video that we did during COVID together. So she says, since COVID-19, my dog is pulling out trash. It never did that before. And I'm like, oh, well, I've got my opinions about that, but I really wanted to hear what Sam had to say about that, only because she didn't get her question answered yet. It just came up recently. So someone recently watched that video again. And I'm like, let's ask Sam.
Well, so there's a couple things. First of all, we know that dogs have been with their people through this whole thing 24/7, 365. So the first thing is that dogs are not getting the usual downtime that they're used to when their people are at work, they're at school, etc. It also means that people feeling they need to keep their dog entertained all the time are actually doing too much with them. But most of the time it involves physical exercise and there's no mental enrichment going on. So I found with a number of clients, we've actually turned around and in the early afternoon, we've given the dog a place to actually chill away from everybody else, using music and using the scent from Black Wing Farms, and giving them a place to just relax. And if the human wants to be with them, that's great. Go in there, read a book, take a nap with them, something. But these dogs are being kept hyperactive. The owners feel that I've got to entertain my dog. I've got to entertain my dog. Many of these dogs are like, stop, the ninth walk of the day. No, this is like 7 too many. And then we also, we see that the dogs, they're bored in that, yes, they may take them for 12 hikes, but what are they doing to enrich their brains? Are we doing enrichment feeding? Are we doing enrichment games? Are we doing on a walk, instead of trying to go for 3 miles, how about if we kept it to a half a mile so that your dog can sniff anything and everything they want?
For as long as they want. That's what you always do. For as long as they want.
That's what you always say.
The walk is for the dog.
Mm-hmm.
But the houses are busy, especially families. The kids are bored, the adults are bored, everybody's stressed out, and that's playing out on the dog. Well, guess what? Adults can find a way to go off to a room on their own. Kids have their room of their own, and the dog's kind of like, after a while, just it's too much.
So you said about feeding and games. Tell us, what do you mean about feeding? What can we do to mentally?
The cool thing about dogs is that, first of all, dogs are omnivores. We know that, versus cats who are primarily carnivores. But the other thing too is, and this is, evolution of hundreds of millions of years. But even though they're domestic dogs, they still have an instinct to pull out of the trash because there's interesting smells. Oh, what was that? Let me taste that. Oh, that's a fresh blade of grass. That's really good, which actually it is really good. So the idea is, can we do enrichment feeding? Do we set it up so that we're using maze bowls, that we're using food dispensing toys, that we're playing find it with their food out in the yard or throughout the house? We do a lot of this in shelters because the dogs don't have the ability to have that activity and interaction. But it is interesting, even with high drive dogs, we see that when they have to actually work for their food, and it's a problem solving skill that they innately have, so that they work for it. But you know what? It's up here. And so when they're done, we see a quieter, just a more relaxed dog, I should say. One thing that the mistake that people sometimes make with it, enrichment feeding, is they'll take, say, a Kong, and a Kong that's too small, stuff the food in, but the food towards the top of the Kong or a similar device gets wedged in there, and a dog will get frustrated and just leave it alone. We always have to make sure that they can get to the end game, with whatever kind of enrichment feeding we're doing. And it's the same thing on the walks. We want them to be able to enjoy the walks. We want them to sniff, 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 sniff. We want to take them to new places, get off of the old routine of the same walk, the same place, the same way. Believe it or not, if you turn around and go in the opposite direction, for many dogs, that's a brand new walk because the smells are coming at them differently.
And we had talked about that too. Let's just really fast go here because this is pandemic problem. Meeting on leash. Yes. Meeting on leash. And you just said turn around, go the other way, just for, olfactory stimulation. But tell us about meeting on leash, because that's massive, right?
And again, because of the pandemic, most dogs have been isolated. People have been concerned about taking them on walks, obviously running into other people, etc. So even dogs that have been really social, now that they're getting back out again, they've got to readjust to the world. Some dogs do this really well. A lot of dogs don't. And of course, dogs who are reactive to begin with didn't have to worry about that for the last year and a half. But now that summer's here, the country's opening up, owners are taking them right back out, and the reactivity is rearing its ugly head. And again, reactivity is just, it's a fear-based behavior. But we've got to get people to slow down.
Okay,
if your dog is really social,
yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, and then
if your dog's really social, that's great. But just remember, we've all been living in a bubble for over a year, right? So going back out, especially for your dog, for any of your companion animals, it's kind of relearning what the world is again. And remember that maybe a dog that your dog played with for 3 days a week, whatever, that dog has changed too. That person has changed too. Mm-hmm. We've got to take all that into account. So when they're going to meet on leash, we've got to make sure that both dogs want to. That the body language, the facial expressions, the tail movement, everything, all in context, is saying, yes, I want to meet that dog. And it can't be just one-sided, because if one of the two doesn't want to meet, they shouldn't.
Okay, so here we are with this banner. What are they saying? Posture, eyes, tail, distance. What are they saying? What can we read from the back of the leash?
Well, though you can't necessarily see the facial expressions unless they turn to face you. We can still see tail, obviously body movement. We can see the ears. People just in general they don't have the skill to understand what they're seeing, because they just haven't really been educated in what they're seeing, how to recognize it, understand it, and then take the appropriate action when they see these various subtle or overt skills. One of the great myths is a wagging tail is a happy dog. And I've seen dogs who come from dogfighting rings who their tails are wagging furiously as they're trying to, kill another dog, as they're biting a person, whatever. The tuck tail, generally a tuck tail or a really low tail with just a bit of a movement on the tip, that's a very cautious dog. It doesn't mean that, everything's okay. Just because your dog is walking with you on a leash, if your dog doesn't want to meet someone, doesn't want to meet another dog, don't force it. Your dog will tell you what they want to do. We have to learn to listen. But we listen to them through body language, vocalizations, but body language will always come first. And we're just not doing that. But now, again, with everything opening up, it's more than ever. It's more important than ever. We want to prevent any kind of issues happening. Anybody getting hurt or dogs getting more scared instead of, just enjoying life more, trusting us, trusting that we will put them in a situation where they don't have to be afraid.
And is it okay to pull them back before something, and just say, let everybody get their distance? Because you've talked to me about distance before. What are they doing when they're going away, and why do they go away? Treat, retreat, I think is what Dale Ward called it.
It's the idea is, if you're walking down the street, strangers coming towards you, and somebody said, well, go up and meet them, but you don't want to, right? No, that's okay. And you're going to look to move to the side, across the street, turn around, walk away, whatever it might be. Doesn't matter. It's fine. People have a tendency to walk forward, kind of with their dogs a little behind them. Come on over here. Meet these people. Meet this dog. And if you actually turn around and look at your dog, the dog is very adamantly saying, I don't want to do this.
How are they saying it? What does the face look like? Because if
you'll see what we call a tight face, right?
Okay.
The head may drop down. You see a dog who starts to get real stiff in the body. Some dogs will even put on the brakes. Mm-hmm. Saying you'll see some lip licking, maybe you see some what we call teeth chatter. You might see the eyes getting real wide. The ears are kind of pinned back. The tail now is either dropping down, or maybe the tail becomes very rigid and straight out. That kind of thing. We know that if we're looking at our dog, and what is our right or their left, if the tail is predominantly to that side, they're being very cautious of this situation. But people have to learn these things so that they make the best choice. The more often they make good choices for their dog, the dog will trust them. And once their dog trusts them, then they can gain confidence into going into situations. But if you're not seeing a dog who's going, hey, this is great, easy body, happy face, bit of a smile, maybe the tongue hanging out to the side thing, wanting to go up to someone, don't do it.
I
And
am
watch the other dog. That's the other thing. You've got to watch the other dog.
Yeah.
Your dog may want to, but that one might not.
And,
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know why I'm thinking of this right now, but it's like a child at Christmas sitting on Santa Claus' lap. I don't know that guy. I don't want to sit on his. Don't make me do it. But it's kind of the same thing. If we allow the kids to get to the back of the line and watch everybody else and know that Santa Claus is not going to hurt and watch his body language, I think the kids are going to feel safer.
How many kids do you hear crying when they're sitting on Santa's lap?
Oh my God. Screaming across the mall.
And what's the parent? Oh, it's a wait. No, stop. It's just Santa Claus. Take your picture.
Exactly. And isn't that what we say on a walk?
Yes.
Isn't that what we say? Oh, come on, stop. Yeah, Tess, you were nodding right there, and and you.
I'm going to throw this in because what I'm experiencing now is that people are more out and walking. The people, this is what I'm running into. People that have adopted during the who are now getting out because there's more socialization, who did not get out and meet us or anyone else before. They don't know to like walk up, approach us slowly, and their dogs are just like, they're just letting their dogs run forward. My dogs are going crazy. So there's a lot of people, like you said, they just don't know yet. These are maybe first-time dog owners, first time to be out during the pandemic because we're all coming out now and summer is coming. So the meet and greets are pretty excitable and fast forward. Like, so I'm like separating my dogs. Can't do on time when I know I'm going to be approached from all angles with people with new dogs. So that's the thing, that not that they're scared or bad, they're fast forward. There's no pausing and greet your dog. There's just like, here's my dog, you know.
Well, what do we say all the time? Slow down, calm down, right?
Slow down, calm down.
Unleash meet and greets, even with two dogs that might be happy. Count off 1001, 1002, 1003, and you say to your dog, come here, buddy, come here. Walk back a few steps. Let that dog walk back a few steps. Now they get a chance to breathe, and we get a chance to see, do they want to meet again? Mm-hmm. Or did all of a sudden one dog go, no, that was enough, and I'm done with this, and just turns its head or turns its body or just says, or just plants itself and says, no, I don't want to do this again.
That is beautiful. That is exactly what I was looking for.
Oh, that counts.
Down to 3 and then back them up, give them a break.
If you meet someone and they go to shake your hand, right? That handshake for 1 or 2 seconds is usually okay. It's when that handshake starts to get beyond that, or the person takes their second hand and puts it over the top of yours, and that's when you see people getting uncomfortable, right? Brand new people. Shake hands, take your hand away, back up for a second, take a breath, figure out if you want to, continue talking with the person. No different than with the dogs.
Brilliant.
We're all the same.
Yeah.
All the species, we're all the same. We all have the same kind of reactions to things. We know what we want. We know what we don't want. We know what we want to do to get our needs met. And part of getting our needs met is someone giving us choice. Choice. It's what we forget about with our companion animals, of giving them choice.
So you guys know I absolutely love Darwin, right? I mean, talk about the beginning of the beginning. And he's got that book, it's something like Behaviors of Mammalian Behavior, something like that. But I always use that picture of the woman growling and the dog growling. And it was like the beginning of photography in the 1880s or whatever. And it says that wherever a human is lifting their lip to expose their canine tooth, they don't like the person that they are addressing, which doesn't even need eye contact. It just needs you're on that side. And we can see this with the dogs. And we see that on the play group or whatever. I'm exposing my canine tooth over here, but you're okay. And dogs can handle a big environment, right? They can handle multitasking. And if they want to. Then again, I remember Sherry Woodard taught me about right-handed and left-handed tail wags. Yep. So a right-handed tail wag to the dog. Now the dog's right side. If the dog is wagging just a little bit more on the right than the left, meaning further into the body, that's okay. They're having a good time or a better time than usual. That one's not failed. We can always talk about whale eye being this or that,
Right.
but right and left-handed tail wags.
But animals have, not just dogs, animals have a terrific force continuum. And the first thing is
continuum.
Right. And I use the term because we use it, being a retired police officer, we use it in the military also. There's a force continuum. You start with step A and then you build up whether or not you need to go to a higher level of force to make, whether it's to make an arrest, make someone go away, whatever it might be. Animals are really good at this. We do it too, but we don't think about it. Generally, if we see somebody and we just don't want to deal with it, we turn away. We turn our head away, we avert our eyes, we walk away in a different direction. Avoidance. Avoidance is always the best you can do because it avoids conflict.
Mm-hmm.
And animals, and especially dogs, being maybe the single most social species on the planet when it comes to people, it doesn't get them anywhere to be in conflict. Think about this. In the wild, right? We see pictures of, say, bears fighting over a stream that's full of trout, right? But both bears appear to be healthy, from everything we can see. And we will see them get into this, scuffle, scrap, whatever you want to call it. But unless one or the other is, actually starving, emaciated, whatever else, they don't fight to the death. Because
they won't.
No,
they won't.
No. When you've been around horses, right?
Yeah.
I have a client who actually spends a lot of time out in the West filming wild horses.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They don't fight to the death.
Mm-hmm.
What purpose does it serve? Again, unless you're severely injured, sick, emaciated, starving, whatever. But in general, they're not going to fight to the death.
No.
Where do we get the term pecking order? Chickens.
Yeah.
They have a very set linear, vertical hierarchy,
Mm-hmm.
right? But the idea is to inflict enough pain with that beak to keep everybody in line. It's not to just fight to the death.
No, they fight until somebody walks away, and for whatever reason, right? Mm-hmm.
And again, animals' force continuum starts with avoidance.
Mm-hmm.
So if we see our dog avoiding, turning their head, turning their eyes, stopping, trying to go in a different direction, listen, trust your dog. Give your dog that choice and say, okay, no problem. We're going to go that way. Or we're not going to meet this person or dog. It's fine.
Yes.
Trust your dog.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And Tess, how many times do you see people, again in the city, I saw this the other day, all they want their dog to do on a walk is sit down. No, let the right? Because somebody got a hold of them and said, the best thing you can do is have your dog sit. Well,
I think that Sam said a year ago with us, the best thing you can do with your dog on a walk is sing to them. And that's still one of my favorite things because I do love chanting with my dogs and they love it. Singing, no matter what your voice is, enjoying the walk with your dog is one of the best things you do. And Sam's he says always, slow down, let them sniff. This is an outing for them. This is not an exercise walk. If you
want to take an exercise walk,
I'm going to have a whole list of T-shirts that have Sam quotes on them.
Yeah. But,
dog.
The other thing too with the walk, if for some reason your dog is showing that they're scared of whatever it might be, it doesn't have to be another dog. It could be anything in the world.
Mm.
Don't have them sit and just wait so that the dog, bicycle, skateboard, person, whatever it might be, just continues to get closer.
Mm-hmm.
The idea is to pick up the pace, talking to your dog, come on, boy, let's go this way. And again, talking to him, singing to him, chanting, whatever, pick up your pace and get past it. Right? There's a military axiom. It says if you drive into an ambush, you don't stop. You get out of Dodge. Keep driving. It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. We talked about this banner that's up now, Life's Lessons, Setting Up for Success. And I think that's just for me, that starts mentally when I get the leash out. That, it's kind of okay, I need to get my mindset. This dog does not understand that I have 50 emails to answer.
Right.
And that, and that I walk really fast and I have a short-legged dog. Mentally, I have to set myself up first. And if we needed just 1, 2, 3, the setting up for success, what do we need to keep in mind in general?
It's about the dog, the cat,
Oh.
the horse. It's not about us.
Wow.
All right. It really is that simple. That any companion animal that we have, and it can be a horse on a farm, it can be, the cat or the dog in your house, the parrot, the ferret, whatever it might be. Once we take them in, they need us for everything in their life. Everything. Stop thinking it's about you. You've heard me say this before. Don't be such a human. Right? It's about them. Think about how, even if you've never had kids, think about when you were a kid, having choice, learning to trust the parent or the guardian or whoever they were with, and then finding that each time that they were put into that winnable situation, they developed confidence and, it helped them deal with the world. You should be doing the same thing with whatever the companion animal it is you have. I don't care the species. I really don't. It's all the same thing. Not for nothing. When the Navy, when the divers are teaching dolphins how to search out mines, when the sea mammal trainers at the various places are teaching them things, until they build trust, they can't do anything. That's how you set up for success. If you go down, I had a great experience a few years ago down at what's it called in Williamsburg. I've got a couple places. Anyway, they have wolf trainers down there because it's part of the exhibits, right? And I'm talking to the trainers. When they get a new wolf in or they get a new trainer in, the requirement is for 1 year, the wolf and the trainer just slowly build a bond, and the trainer can never, ever step beyond the enclosures for the wolves. The idea is that you have to build the bond so that wolf is going to trust you to the extent that they can. And that's pretty telling, right? But then when you see that they've developed a trust, it's not that they're going to go in and pet the wolves, et cetera, like that. But you see the wolf becoming less afraid, more confident, because let's face it, being in a zoo-type environment is pretty stressful.
A lot of pressure.
Right? But again, you're dealing with wild animals. And yet you still have to set up for success, build trust. Going for a walk with your dog, make it an outing. I love that, what you said. That's great. It's an outing. And that really what it is. To them, it's an outing. Right? Summertime is here. Yes, it's good to have an outing. Make sure you're not walking on the hot pavement. If your dog doesn't want to swim, don't worry about it. People are like, I got a lab. It wants to swim. How do you know? Well, they're supposed to, right? Well, no. I mean, yes, most do, but some don't. Don't throw them in the pool. I live here on the coast, right? Some people are like, yeah, we go to the ocean and the dog runs away from the waves, gets really scared. Okay, but how about if you went over to, I'll give them a few places. And like, yeah, there was like this stream and the dog just went in and was kind of padding around in there and kind of drinking the water. Well, yeah, nice, easy flowing stream. No, don't have to worry about shifting sands, all that kind of
waves coming
in.
Yeah.
Start small, set them up for success, build the trust.
I love that. Respect.
Absolutely. Beautiful. You know what? I want to transcribe this talk. I don't know how it's going to get done, but I think that is just a beautiful place to stop. We decided before we got on today that we're going to do this once a month, and we're going to set it up in advance, the three of us. So thank you, Sam. Can't thank you enough.
Listen, I love being here, guys, and I appreciate you listening to my ramblings.
Oh my God, everybody appreciates it. Are you kidding? You get thousands of views, thousands. So you got your own fan base right here at Black Wing Farms. Okay.
As long as it helps people, that's good.
Thank you. All right. We'll talk to you guys soon.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye, Tess.
Okay, bye, Sam.
Bye.